In a foreign land, under the shadow of a powerful empire, the fate of an entire people rested on the courage of one young woman, a woman who did not know that she had been born for such a time as this. This is the story of Esther. It begins in the heart of the Persian Empire, where King Ahasuerus, also known as Xerxes, ruled over 127 provinces, from India all the way to Ethiopia. During a magnificent feast, meant to display his power and glory, he summoned his wife, Queen Vashti, to appear before his guests. But she refused. This public defiance shook the palace to its core. In a swift and decisive move, Vashti was removed from the throne, and a decree went out across the empire. A search was to begin for a new queen. From every corner of the kingdom, beautiful young women were brought to the palace. Among them was a Jewish orphan named Hadassah, known to us as Esther. Raised by her wise cousin Mordecai, she possessed a quiet grace and a humble spirit that set her apart. Following Mordecai's careful instruction, she kept her Jewish identity a secret. One by one, the women were presented to the king. But when he saw Esther, he was captivated. Out of all the women in the vast empire, the king chose Esther to be his queen. But as hope blossomed in the palace, a shadow of evil began to rise. Haman, a high-ranking and arrogant official, demanded that all bow before him. Mordecai, however, refused to bow to any man, reserving his worship for God alone. This defiance ignited a furious rage in Haman. His personal hatred for Mordecai twisted into a monstrous plot not just to destroy one man, but to annihilate his entire people. He manipulated the king, securing a royal decree to exterminate all the Jews throughout the Persian Empire on a single, designated day. The decree was sealed, and a death sentence was cast upon an entire nation. When Mordecai learned of the decree, he tore his clothes and mourned publicly at the palace gate. News reached Queen Esther, and her heart was filled with dread. Mordecai sent her a message, urging her to go before the king and plead for her people. But Esther was terrified. To approach the king without being summoned was an offense punishable by death. She hesitated, but Mordecai's next words would change everything. "Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" At that moment, Esther understood. She chose courage over comfort, faith over fear, and sent her reply, "If I perish, I perish." With prayer as her shield, Esther approached the king's throne room. The tension was unbearable. Would he raise the golden scepter, a sign of favor, or would this be her final act? The king saw her. His heart softened, and he extended the scepter. She was safe. With wisdom beyond her years, Esther didn't immediately expose Haman. Instead, she invited the king and Haman to 2 private banquets. It was at the second banquet that she revealed her identity and exposed Haman's wicked plot to destroy her and her people. The king's favor turned to fury. The very gallows that Haman had built for Mordecai became his own end. The day that was meant for destruction turned into a day of deliverance. The king issued a new decree, allowing the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies. What was intended for evil, God used for good. Mourning was turned into joy, and fear was transformed into victory. The story of Esther teaches us profound lessons. It shows that God positions people strategically, even when he seems silent. It reminds us that true courage is obedience in the face of overwhelming fear, and that our silence in critical moments can have dire consequences. Perhaps, like Esther, you are exactly where you are for such a time as this. If this story encouraged you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe for more powerful Bible stories. Like this video to help spread God's word, and share it with someone who needs courage today. Thanks for watching.